When a person gains superpowers, it is as if an extra arm or finger has grown on the body. It appears so suddenly, and the superpowers understand the superpowers just like they understand their own bodies, and they know very well how it works. Under the expectant eyes of Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin, Liu Ke-ran explained her ability. She took a spoon from the table, and then in front of the two people, without using any physical force, she quickly bent the spoon down. My ability is related to metal and machinery. It seems that I can control the metal that my body touches. Liu Ke-ran's eyes were shining, and she clenched her fists and said excitedly, "This is great. With this ability, I can create many powerful weapons in the future." Zhang Yi held his chin and asked in a deep voice, "In other words, your ability is related to machinery. Can you improve the performance of weapons?" Liu Ke-ran answered without hesitation, "Of course." She looked at the spoon in her hand and said with a smile, "With this ability, I can perfectly grasp every detail of the weapon. Adjust the weapon to the best performance. Not only weapons, all mechanical creations will be transformed into the most perfect form in my hands." Zhang Yi smiled and said, "That's great. Your ability is not separated from your job as a mechanic. Help me strengthen all those guns." "Okay, make sure to complete the task." Liu Ke-ran smiled, his face full of unstoppable excitement. "By the way, boss, please give my ability a name." Liu Ke-ran suddenly said. Zhang Yi smiled and said, "This is your own ability. You should name it yourself, right?" Who knew that Liu Ke-ran looked at Zhang Yi very seriously and said solemnly, "My life was saved by the boss, and my superpowers were also given by the boss. So my superpowers should also be named by you, the boss." Zhang Yi understood that Liu Ke-ran was expressing her gratitude and loyalty to Zhang Yi. He nodded, and after thinking carefully for a while, he said, "Since your ability is to operate machinery, why not call it Xunji Chaozhi?" Liu Ke-ran liked this name very much. Her eyes were sparkling, and she kept reciting this name. Xunji Chaozhi, Xunji Chaozhi, this name is good. I will also be a superpower in the future. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin looked at Liu Ke-ran with a smile. The two of them were already thinking about how to maximize Liu Ke-ran's superpowers. At this time, Zhou Ke also returned to normal. But she sweated more than Liu Ke-ran, so that her whole body was wet, and her skin was shiny. Not sure if it was an illusion, Zhang Yi felt that her skin was whiter and tenderer than before, and her originally attractive body had even become more charming. Zhou Ke blushed slightly when Zhang Yi stared at her like that. "Why are you staring at me like that? Do you look good?" Zhang Yi couldn't help but nodded and smiled. "You look good. You've always been good-looking." Yang Xinxin and Liu Ke next to him looked jealous. Zhou Ke was embarrassed to show off her love in front of her two younger sisters. She sat up with a slender figure. "Has Ke succeeded? What is your abilities?" Liu Ke explained her ability honestly. Zhou Ke smiled and said, "The ability to control the divine machine? It's a very useful ability, and it suits you very well." "Then what is your ability, Sister Ke?" Liu Ke asked curiously. Zhou Ke explained calmly, "My ability is related to medical skills." She explained her abilities to the few people without reservation. "My ability can accelerate the activity of my own cells and allow cells to repair and regenerate quickly. This ability can be used not only on myself, but also on others." After hearing this, everyone finally understood why Zhou Ke's body became more perfect. Yang Xinxin and Liu Ke were really jealous because this ability was what every woman wanted. As long as Zhou Ke wanted, she could change her body proportions at will and become a real devil figure. Another aspect is my hands. She stretched out her slender and white hands. These were the hands of a surgeon, clean, white, and calm. My hands can cure other people's pathology, and they can even replace scalpels to perform surgery on the human body, Zhou Ke said, and slowly walked to Yang Xinxin. Yang Xinxin looked at her in surprise. "Sister Ke, what are you going to do?" Zhou Ke squatted down with a smile. "I want to try to see if I can cure your legs." Before Yang Xinxin could refute, Zhou Ke suddenly stretched out her hands. Under the eyes of everyone, the hands suddenly became transparent. Then, they slowly sank into Yang Xinxin's legs. They slowly climbed from Yang Xinxin's legs all the way to her spinal cord. Yang Xinxin could feel something stirring inside her body, but that feeling did not make her feel painful. Instead, there was a feeling that something was being cleared from her body. Soon after, Zhou Ke took her hands out of Yang Xinxin's spine. Along with it, there was a large mass of gray-black mucus. While Zhou Ke cleaned the dirt on her hands, she said to Yang Xinxin, "Xinxin, you can try to stand up." The light in Yang Xinxin's pupils suddenly shook. After being paralyzed for many years, what she wanted most in her heart was to have a pair of healthy legs so that she could walk like a normal person. Zhang Yi couldn't help but look at Zhou Ke and then at Yang Xinxin. Is this the legendary medical miracle? If Zhou Ke can even cure paralysis, there is probably no surgical injury that she can't cure. This ability is simply too powerful. Liu Ke hurried to Yang Xinxin's side and looked at her with encouraging eyes. "Xinxin, try it." As she said, she reached out and held Yang Xinxin's arm. Yang Xinxin looked at her legs nervously and then began to exert force unskillfully. The legs that had not felt for many years actually produced a kind of power at this time. Supporting her body, she slowly stood up from the wheelchair. "Ah, I'm standing up. I'm standing up. I can feel them." The girl shouted in extreme surprise, completely losing the appearance of the high IQ sickly girl in the past. With the support of Liu Ke-ran, she walked forward step by step and soon adapted to walking. Yang Xinxin's eyes were full of tears, and she smiled and shed tears. She rushed over here quickly. Zhou Ke had a smile on her face and reached out to catch her. But unexpectedly, Yang Xinxin passed her and dived into Zhang Yi's arms. "Brother, I can stand up. I'm a normal girl now." Zhang Yi looked at Zhou Ke with an embarrassed expression and wanted to laugh. "Well, very good. From now on you can walk with your own legs."